As we enter the new year, NIMET has issued its forecast, offering key insights into the expected weather patterns and their potential impact on various sectors across the country. The 2025 seasonal climate prediction covers the period from March to November, and it includes forecasts on rainfall, temperature trends, and the likelihood of extreme weather events such as droughts and flooding. As always, these predictions are crucial for planning in agriculture, water resources, energy, health, and disaster management. Understanding the climate outlook, it's vital for government agencies, businesses, and communities to make informed decisions. The focus for discussion is the details of the forecast, unpacking the implications, and discussing how we can prepare for the challenges and opportunities ahead. Of course, I'm joined by experts to shed light on the key elements of the predictions and what it means for the nation. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Ikaria Clinton. With me in the studio for today's conversation is architect Kabiru Ibrahim. He's the president, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN. It's good to have you in Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Also with us in the studio is Dr. Chimere May Ohajinwa. She's an environmental toxicologist and a public health expert. It's a pleasure to have you in Nigeria Today.
Thank you.
Now, before we go ahead with the conversation, we'll listen to this report by Musa Baba Ali.
This document released by the Minister of Aviation consists of weather forecasts for the year 2025, focusing mainly on rain pattern, temperature, as well as outbreak of diseases such as malaria and meningitis. It is predicted that the onset of the rainy season is anticipated between March and April over the southern states. The season will set in the northern states between June and July 2025. However, the states of Kaduna, Niger, Benue, Nasarawa, Taraba, Adamawa, and Kwara will experience a delayed onset. 12 states are predicted to experience a severe dry spell that will last for 21 days without rainfall during the season.
A delayed end of season is expected over parts of Kaduna, Nasarawa, Benue, Lagos, Kwara, Taraba, Oyo, Ogun, Cross River, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Ebonyi, Anambra, and Enugu states. The predicted length of rainy season in 2025 is expected to be mostly normal across the country. However, Borno and parts of Yobe states could experience shorter than normal length of season. High intensity rainfall is expected in May-June that may likely result in flash floods in coastal states.
The daytime temperature in 2025 is expected to range between 28.8 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius.
Working with NIMET on this front is critical, and it enables us to guide our farmers as we plan. We are also integrating the SCP into the current programs we are designing, especially our soil health care scheme, for example.
Aviation and marine expert and the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, praised NIMET for the timely release of seasonal prediction, stating that the information will significantly aid in addressing environmental challenges.
Welcome back. That was a report by our correspondent there. Now, Architect Kabiru, you heard the report. But before we go into the conversation proper, I noticed that we have the Harmattan wasn't so much as we expected it to be. Did it have any effect really on farming?
Well, the situation is abnormal. It's been abnormal for many years, but this is due to climate change. So we are not surprised. If you remember, last year we had rainfall at the point of harvest in many areas, and we lost what we thought was bumper harvest to inclement weather in terms of too much rain at time of harvest, and we lost our crops and all that. So this situation is not planned for, even though we were cautioned, but it has adverse effect on, because there are some of the crops that are really you know, they thrive better in cold seasons. They are temperate crops. Take wheat, for instance. We might get a bumper harvest of wheat in some areas, and our farmers are already talking to us about that. So there is a downside for whatever happened, and then there are positive sides. So we are not entirely surprised that this has happened, because turbulence is also happening in the rain pattern. So, and this is global, it's not only Nigeria.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Chimere, we see the trend of the rain. When we expect a certain way, it goes a certain way. So what effect does climate change have in all of this?
Okay, so the report was talking about NIMET's prediction for 2025, and then even though the theme is the role on the aviation sector and the sustainable and socio-economic development, that's what it is. And so that cuts across not only aviation, agriculture, environment, climate change, transportation, even disaster management. So if you're looking at disaster management and connected to health, so everything is just connected to this. So it's a very critical information for almost every sector in the development, to look at it all across. So what does it mean in environment? What does it mean for food safety? What does it mean for people in disaster management? That's NEMA. What does it mean? If we start having flooding now, what are they supposed to, how are you supposed to respond? The hospitals, how are they supposed to be prepared in case there's flooding and then we are beginning to have diseases we don't have before, like cholera, like malaria, increase in malaria, or meningitis, or suddenly it's no longer raining as it's supposed to rain. What are we supposed to do? So it's a document that is important for almost every sector that is in development, to look at it and see what does it mean. So now they read out some places that are going to have delayed, you're going to have delayed rainfall. Some other places are going to have excess. So you prepare for it. So it's also important that it's released early in the year, so you begin to prepare. So for places where there is erosion, that means probably there's going to be flooding. That means the topsoil is going to be washed away. That means you're not getting enough proper food. The plants are not getting enough nutrients to generate more yield. So what are we going to do if such happens? Then if it's flooding and then we start having people falling sick, having malaria or having cholera, like today there was a national launch on the cholera plan for between this year and 2029 or so. Today it was launched today. So what does it mean? What is the plan? So if you are doing open defecation, then there's flooding, and what does it mean for us? How is the Ministry of Health preparing? How is Ministry of Environment preparing agriculture? So it's a very important tool that is released today at early in the year, that we begin to plan and see this is what you're supposed to do. This is what farmers are supposed to do. At what point they should expect yield, expect rain, or don't expect rain, and plan for it. So it's a very important information that was released today.
No, Architect Akibiru, the predictions that was released, how, if you listen to it, there will be delayed rains in some parts of the states. Enugu was mentioned, Imo State was mentioned, and of course in Borno and Yobe we have a highly intense rain by May, June, and early, the end of season will be a little bit earlier. So what does this mean to agriculture?
It means a lot, and it means that we have to wake up. We have to factor all this in our plants and how we do our plantation and all that. If you have delayed rains, you should not plant just because you see flash rains, because the rains will not set in, and therefore whatever crops you plant might dry up before the time of maturity and all that. And then if you have crops that mature very early, they will not be planted to meet those areas where the rains will come at the time of harvest, because last year we lost a lot of crops because of flooding. There was too much water for some of the crops that were ready for harvest, and we lost some of them. So the information that was given has always been very crucial to farmers. We had always disseminated that information to all the nooks and crannies of our, country, because in Afan we are in the 774 local government areas. Whenever we attend the unveiling of these predictions, we make sure that we disseminate this information to every farmer in the language that he or she understands, so that they would factor it in their production. Luckily, we are beginning to do agriculture the year round. We are using groundwater, we are using our waters in the dam, we are doing a lot of irrigation. So some of these problems may not be as pronounced as before, because we are making more effort now to use groundwater or dammed waters, so that the eventual rain pattern as predicted may not have a severe effect on our crops. And then we have to also pick and choose, because there are seed types that will thrive and would withstand drought. There are some seed types that would even withstand flooding. So the farmers will be advised to look into all these things and then procure those seeds that will be best suited for those climatic conditions that are being predicted. Now, we have always said that farmers should use seeds rather than grains, because it's seed that has the attributes of withstanding drought or flooding, that will thrive better when there is a cessation of rains or delay in rain, or there are floods, unusual floodings or flushes and all that.
Can you educate us? What's the difference between the seed and the grain?
Seed is seed has got about 3 attributes, or it comes in 3 forms. There is the early generation seed, there is the foundation seed, and there is the certified seed. Now, if you plant a certified seed and you harvest and preserve what you think is good from what you have harvested, that is grain. But when you get seed that you are not supposed to consume and plant it, that is seed. That's you have planted seed, and you get more yield, because the degradation of the seed by making grains will affect the yield. I will give you this example. If you use a maize seed, hybrid seed, for instance, and that gives you 3 tons per hectare. If you use its offsprings, that is grain from it, you might not get 2 tons per hectare. So it is best to use seed. Now our farmers cry that they are spending a lot of money to seed, but this is more than counterbalanced by the yield that you get. In fact, a farmer will become prosperous if he or she uses seed instead of grains, because there is higher yield, which counterbalances the losses in the cheap grains that they save to plant again. You see, there is a lot of talk around a certain type of seed that, in the public domain now, they say if you have genetically improved or modified seeds, you cannot replant them. That is born out of ignorance. It's not science. It will behave the same way as a normal hybrid seed. If you plant the hybrid seed, you get very high yield. If you use its grains, you will not get as much yield. The same thing with the genetically modified one. Whoever tells you that they will not get, you cannot replant GM seeds is mere talk. It's not scientific. And if they have any proof from science, let them show.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the 2025 prediction by NIMED, the seasonal climate prediction. Of course, I have here with me a farmer and an environmentalist. Thank you. Now, Dr. Chimere, of course, you said there are things that people of the health sector should be doing right now, because if we have, heavy rains in some parts of the country, just like we had in the past, and probably we have flood and all of that, you've mentioned some of the diseases that are likely to, be a problem. So what should be done in the health sector according to, from your own opinion?
Okay, so from my opinion, I'm going to look at it from the nexus, the connection or the nexus between environment and health. So we're having rainfall, and now we're going to have maybe too much or too little, or not coming when it's expected. What does it mean? So if it turns out to become too much, what does it mean for the environment? And how does it cascade and affect other sectors? So if you're looking at it from disaster, NEMA, what are the government supposed to be doing now? What the Ministry of Environment is supposed to be doing now? So places it has happened before, what is the health sector doing to prepare for, in case we begin to have people that are falling sick, in case they're having cholera outbreak, not just people falling sick. Now, outbreak means more people having it at the same time, and then the health sector is now overwhelmed. Any plans? What's the plan for the toilets so that you don't infect other places? Because remember, if you think, oh, my place is not flooded, the water, it can rain somewhere else and the river can carry it to another place. And then you have multiple, not just in the area that is flooded, but in other areas that they didn't even have the same effect, but they're having the same outbreak because the rain has moved it to another place. So meaning that the sector is ready, preparing for this, doing a lot of community awareness. That means you're having National Orientation Agency being involved. So it's actually a multi-sectorial important information that can be used in different sectors, not just one sector. To say, oh, it's for farmers or for environmental climate change people. No, it's for almost every, planning, even the aviation people. That's the theme is the role of early warning signs. That was that was the theme today. But what does it mean in other sectors in terms of socio-economic development? What are we going to do? How do you strengthen our health system to be prepared for it? What are we planning for agriculture? What are we doing for flood mitigation strategies? How are we educating the communities that live around the coastal regions so that we are not having this kind of record of so number of people died, as if it's a new thing. Meanwhile, it's something that happens almost every year. So what's the plan? So that's where you find out that like you said, the information is very important. So is every sector taking it up, or local government or state taking it up and then trying to cascade information to the language that people can understand? So it's a very important information that shouldn't, you can't take it lightly. It's a very important information for almost every sector to look into it and see how does it apply to my sector. So in the climate change space, how does it apply? For people that live in erosion space, like in the southeast where you have a lot of erosion, what does it mean? So if you're having a lot of water and then all the topsoils are being washed away, does it have any effect on our food? Because now the soil is no longer having nutrients that can help so the soil health is not degraded. So what does it mean for food safety if the soil health is not longer there? So if it's washing away, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the ecosystem? What's going to happen to the plants? What's going to happen to the pests? So it's an ecosystem whole thing that, so you're having diseases you're not supposed to have before, and then the plants are coming up with diseases you're not supposed to have before. So what are we going to do in terms of agricultural preparedness? So it's not just one aspect. Even for disease prevention, what is the plan? So it's a very important information that shouldn't just be taken lightly.
Thank you very much. Architect Kabiru, earlier when you talked about it, you talked how important this information is to farmers. Now, is there a kind of a forum where farmers are being educated on these predictions? I'm saying this because in the past we've had a lot of flooding and a lot of farmers lost quite a lot. And I know that there's a way we can maximize, you know, the looking at the advantages of flood. Flooding cannot entirely be negative.
No, there are many ways in which people are educated. When, you know, in the past, in Nigeria, we used to have flooding at 10-year intervals. In the last 4 years or so, it has become an annual thing. The farmer would run away from losing. If they lose anything that they planted, they will not go there again. And then when you tell them, do not plant in flood-prone areas, it's good education because you have a basis for that. And then when you tell them, do not plant in March or April because the rains will not set in where you are, they will not do that. So this, whatever information is available now in the public domain will be given to all the farmers. That's why I told you, the farmer leaders are in every ward, every local government, every state of Nigeria. And even NIMET, the predictions are in the 3 major languages of Nigeria. Now, if your farmer leader in a ward speaks Ishekiri, the information will be given in Ishekiri to the farmers there. So it's not that it will be in English and people would now look for people who will interpret all that. Once this information is given, I can tell you that if you go to my village now, the people who have heard it over the radio, that the rains might not come as early as last year. Therefore, they will not plant as early and they will have to choose a seed type that will withstand that. Because they don't want to lose money, they will not also plant where the possibilities of flooding are there. Because you know, this is business. You can't, you are, now the farmers are doing business. I mean, you are all crying that there is a high inflation. There is inflation and all that. But you know, the local farmers are saying that what they produce now is beginning to have value.
So can you give us example of some likely seeds that some farmers should plant?
There are all like kinds. You see, like if you take maize, for instance,
yes,
there are many seed types in maize that you know, when you sell seed now, there is what is called seed codex. You scratch something on the seed pack, you see a number, you make sure that it is from a seed company, it is not adulterated, and then the attributes of that seed, what it will stand, how it will germinate and all that, and the time it will produce it, they are all written there. And then the farmer will go for that. And the seed companies also are marketing these products. They are not, in fact, their major work now is to market their seeds. So they go even before you know it. They have infiltrated everywhere trying to sell their seeds. So there are many seed types. In maize, for instance, I believe there are so many varieties. Maybe the experts will tell you there are almost 27 varieties.
So we can plant maize now while we are expecting the rain, or when the rain comes?
No, you can't. See, there is a volume of water that is required for maize to thrive.
Okay.
If you plant it where you have irrigation, yes, you can help it with water and all that. There is right now, there are people who are planting maize in some areas where the water table is quite high.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Architect Kabir Ibrahim, the President of Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Your insightful contribution. And Dr. Chimerime Ohajinwa is an environmental toxicologist and a public health expert. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution.
Welcome.
And thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.